I am starting an audiobook, and this is my first time listening to one. So the book is called I Am Not Jessica Chen by Ann Liang. As you can see there, 0%. I haven't started it yet, but I can't wait to just put it on while I clean or something like that. So definitely will let you know my thoughts once I'm done with it. Hi, hello, I'm Ruth. Welcome. Let's go ahead and talk about I Am Not Jessica Chen and Julie Chan is Not Dead. Wow, why do I do this to myself? Let's get it together. Jessica Chan, Julie. See, I already messed up. Jessica Chen, Julie Chan. Help me out here, all right? So, the first book, as you can tell from the beginning, I did an audio book and I listened to I Am Not Jessica Chen. And it was a great experience. That was my first time, and I don't know why I haven't done it sooner. I mean, don't get me wrong. I really like having a physical book in front of me. So, but sometimes it's nice to break that up with something different. So, a couple things that I learned from listening to an audiobook. One, you can multitask, but multitasking, I think, would have to be like listening to a book where there's not going to be too many characters introduced, because I feel like I'm going to get lost. And so it has to be books that are easy to multitask to. So after this experience, I'm thinking like true crime type of books would be good too, because I love listening to like true crime podcasts. So I think it'd be the same. Um, and because this was my first audiobook, I don't know if other books have multiple people reading different characters, or if they just have one person reading as different characters. So for this specific case, there's one narrator and she does the voices for all the characters. This book was about 9 hours of listening. So, for some of you who are fast readers or fast listeners, this will be a piece of cake for you. So, both of these books have similar themes. So, with Jessica Chen, she has to deal with comparison, especially comparing yourself to a family member. I feel like it's already bad enough comparing yourself to friends, but then when you also have cousins or siblings that are the same age or around the same age as you, it's difficult to not compare yourself to them. Competition, there's themes of that, jealousy, and just wanting to know what it feels like to be on the other side, basically. And so I feel for it, especially because all people, I hope, have to kind of deal with this emotion, right? And then it's important for you to learn how to deal with this emotion too, because we are human beings and we're not perfect. But more so, at least in the Asian community, there's really a lot of emphasis on like academics, where you go to school, or what job company you're working for. So it's a lot of pressure. And this is no exception of the book kind of talking about all that stuff that you know kids have to go through, and disappointing your parents and things like that. So this book was entertaining in my opinion. Do I have a favorite character? I wouldn't say I have a favorite character, but I think Jenna's cousin, um, she is, I would say, not your stereotypical snotty family member, I guess, even though, she has everything that Jenna wants. So, as you can see, they also have similar names, Jessica and Jenna. But Jenna is the main character, and she wants to be Jessica. I would rate this a 3 stars. I don't know if I would feel differently if I were to be reading it, because I feel like with an audiobook, it kind of comes to life, right? The words and the emotion comes to life when someone's reading you a story versus you reading it yourself. But it's a solid 3 in my opinion. There was some messaging about politics in the book, very minor, so I'm not going to ding the book because of that. It was in an appropriate place, in my opinion. It was in a debate class, so appropriate, but just interesting that that was put in there. The author also wrote another book called I Hope This Doesn't Find You. So I'll also link the book below for you to look at my review on that book. But otherwise, this was an enjoyable book. Now we're on to talking about Julie Chan Is Not Dead. So this book follows 2 sisters, Chloe and Julie, twins, might I add, as they kind of navigate through life. Both of them are similar and different at the same time. So they were separated at birth. Unfortunately, Julie, she was given the short end of the stick. She has to live with her biological family, her aunt, who reminds me of like Cinderella's aunt. She's not really a good role model for Julie, and Julie's just kind of like floating through life, not knowing what to do or her life purpose. Versus Chloe, she was adopted into a more well-off family, and she became a social media influencer. Already there, she is, in a sense, way better than Julie. So, as you can imagine, that will cause some tension, some jealousy, some friction, and wanting to be the other person or what it feels like to be the other person. And so, to me, this book was very entertaining. There's a lots of things I wasn't expecting, or the direction the story was going. To be honest, I feel like this is a story that could be something like, what's that studio, A29, that's been producing a lot of solid movies. I feel like this could be something that they could pick up in that sense. Thrilling. You definitely want to emulate, or you feel like you want to be, the influencers in this story, to a certain point, of course. Of course, there's some things that are going to be just a little bit exaggerated, right? But overall, I thought it was an entertaining and good writing from the author. I didn't really have a favorite character, but there were some characters that made me annoyed, which I get because they're kind of written that way, or I took it that way. And the author kind of highlights, the more like negative aspects of being an influencer. And they were more like snobby and things like that. Of course, the aunt, she's not a good person in my opinion. So she was not my favorite character. I had just a tidbit of qualms with things about race. So, for example, I'll put the quote up here, but in the context, so they were at a influencer party, and the host flew in water from like a different place to serve in the dessert. And to me, they said it was like a race thing. Personally, I think it's just more of like, if you have money, it doesn't matter what race you are. If you have money, it's just something that people with money do. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Like, you have money, you can spend it the way you want. You can be Asian, Hispanic, white, and have money and do those things, right? It doesn't have to be a race specific thing. So there were a lot of like things like that and comments about that. So I just didn't like it. But again, this is not my book. I'm, this is the author's book and what she wants to portray in her book. So I get that, but I just had to like talk a little bit about that. So don't mean to bring down the review here, but overall, it was still a good book for me to read. I liked it. 3 stars. Like always, please let me know your thoughts. Did you like this book? Didn't you like this book? Who's your favorite character? Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Happy reading.